hit the like button, subscribe. For the intelligent, black men is relevant. Why ask questions when you know the answer? So we bypass outlast channels, no gossip. We about that life. Tune in, subscribe, hop in the broadcast, stay current. Then the Spurling podcast, vibe with it. On the couch, leaving your house so you can ride with it. Voice of black excellence with no fronting. In the space we speak how we feel. The blizzard's coming.
"15 years ago now, the Galleria area is ghetto. A lot of people come in from out of town. It's become popular. It's become a tourist spot. And so a lot of people show up from all these different places and they go there to be seen. You got rappers in there. And, you know, all money don't mingle. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want to mingle with rapper money. I don't really even want to mingle with sports figure money. I'm cool with the doctors, the lawyers, the engineers, the businessmen. I don't want to hang out with a bunch of athletes because I don't like the crowd they bring."
You are now rocking with the best. Uncle D. Loud with it, speak it with your chest. Uncle D. South reppin', started in the West. Uncle D. Conversation, cashing out them checks. Uncle D. We can do it how you want to. How you want to. Uncle D, lovely ladies' favorite uncle. Favorite uncle. Corporate meetings came up out the jungle. All you ratchet boogers, baby, we don't want you. We don't want you. Stagnated, baby, gotta grow. Gotta grow. I can't f with you, vibration too low. Too low. Somebody might mistake you for my. That's not my. Somebody might think you work a pole.
Thing is off my paint job. Look at these teeth.
Okay,
watch this. What? Oh, look at them teeth, boy. Look at these. Ooh, somebody screenshot that and blow it up and email it to me. Look at that. That's an angle right there. I'm broke.
All money don't mingle. Reason why most of y'all are single. Yeah. All money ain't the same. Sometimes you gotta charge it to the game. Yeah. All money don't mingle. My wallet, I don't keep a bunch of singles. Yeah. Oh, now you see me rising up. Black men is them. We don't give a what. Yeah.
They sit at home and they hate watch. Walk around and they flip flops on your coffee table. Got a ziplock. Dirty couch, your lips out. Sink dirty dishes. What this about? Kids in and out the house, unstable, no food on the table, trying to dip out. Hair hat and her make out. That's makeup. That's rip out. R.I.P. to her fish mouth. And that tuna fish below the belly button. BBL shaped like jelly smuckers. Booty thicker than peanut butter. She ain't never ever worth the trouble. Gone girl, you can keep the bubble. Sit down wrong and you leak the bubble. Simples wanna just eat the bubble. Smell real strong, preheat the bubble. Instagram, they wanna see the bubble. Need cash app, just feed the bubble. Why we overseas for the season bubble? The kind at the gym won't believe the bubbles. Top notch, we can see the hustle. Money don't mingle, we bleed with muscle.
All money don't mingle. Reason why most of y'all are single. Yeah. All money ain't the same. Sometimes you gotta charge it to the game. Yeah. All money don't mingle. My wallet, I don't keep a bunch of singles. Yeah. Oh, now you see me rising up. Black men is them. We don't give a what. Yeah.
and women are tired of broke women. Okay, we're tired, we're frustrated, we keep the game. Are y'all with me? Hit the number one button. I mean, I just think this needs to be said. We are tired and frustrated with broke women who expect others to pay their way in relationships.
It is a lie. It is a lie.
Mr. Sano, thank you. We're going to take 5 minutes. You're not confined.
Yeah. Welcome, everybody. Shout out to everybody in the chat room, man. Y'all make sure y'all hit the number one button. Let me know you're in here like swimwear. My name is Dennis Spurling, also known as Uncle D. You guys may know me as the Blizzard King. Somebody type Blizzard King in the chat room. I am back inside from the backyard because I think that this conversation needs some due diligence. I know y'all love to see me out back in the backyard. I'm getting dusted up and sweaty with the sweaty forehead. But, you know, sometimes I need to pay close attention to what's being said. I can't just freestyle. I can't keep going off the dome all the time, man, because at the end of the day, this is my legacy, and the things that I put out, I want them to be as precise as a chemistry of a chemical formula. You understand what I'm talking about? Shout out to all my guys. Big shout out to my man Glow Hardy. Yeah. He's leading the wrench mob right now, man. Shout out to the whole wrench mob. Shout out to my man Joe Martin. Big shout out to all the fellas up in here. Mark the Freelancer. Big up to you, man. All my guys who've been here for years. Yeah. We out here on a Sunday, man. Somebody hit the number one button, baby. Hope y'all enjoying your week. Hope you're going to have a great week so far. Hope you had a great weekend. So, fellas, what we going to talk? Somebody type black men winning in the chat room. Somebody type black men winning, BMW in the chat room. Come on, fellas. This is what we do here. We uplift the brothers. We speak the truth. Black men winning. Somebody type black men winning in the chat room. Let me know if you can hear me. Somebody say, yeah, if you can hear me. Somebody type black men winning in the chat room. Here's another one. Black men are and always will be the prize. That is the conversation that we're having today. A lot of people will say that, but nobody seems to be going in and specifically explaining why black men are the prize. Somebody type, I am the prize in the chat room, because we're talking about ourselves, self-affirmation. A lot of you young brothers have not had fathers, you haven't had uncles, you haven't had men in your life to say, yeah, young man, you get on out there and win. You get on out there, you can do it. Shout out to you. And so here's the thing, man. We can be the prize and not step on anybody else's toes. You understand what I'm talking about? We can be the prize and not infringe on anybody else. We don't have to put anybody down for us to be the prize. That's what I want you guys to understand. See, we're not in the business of downing. I said business. I said it, and if you can spell it, spell it. But I said we are in the business of uplifting ourselves. Now, just so you all know who Uncle D is, man, some of y'all don't know. Now, have you guys visited my community tab recently? Has anybody been over to my community tab? If you haven't been to my community tab, then you haven't seen this information right here. This is Uncle D right here over at the great Texas Southern University. And these two young ladies right here, I awarded them with scholarships, extern scholarship. And this is my good brother right here, Dr. Sidipe. He is a professor, a brilliant professor, multiple degrees, and he is a very wonderful. He was married to a Black American sister from Chicago for a while, but that relationship didn't work out. So I found him a lawyer to help him get a divorce. And now he said, I want the Dominican woman too. I'm like, come on, Doc, just chill for a minute. This is my longtime friend. This is a couple of his students that he recommended. And so, you know, these young ladies, upstanding, hardworking, very sweet young ladies, very hardworking young lady, HBCU student. Of course, that's the lovely Mrs. standing next to me, looking like corporate America. But bottom line is, I wanted to get these two sisters right here, these scholarship checks. You see what I'm saying? Because see, again, Uncle D is not a hater. Uncle D is a congratulator. A lot of you folks, y'all stingy with me, And that's why you receiving the service. But see, the reason I'm so blessed, and I'm gonna just give you one of these universal rules. The reason I'm so blessed is because I give so much. See, I give. See, that's the difference between me and a lot of folks. I give from the heart. I want to see you ball. And that includes our righteous sisters too. You understand me? A lot of y'all got me twisted and messed up. Is the reason that I talk to black women is because, like I say, I'm your uncle. And if your people can't speak to you square and straight up, then who can? You understand me? So I'm gonna tell you about yourself. But when I see an upstanding young woman who is doing the best for themselves, who's polite, who's respectful, I'm gonna make sure and doing good in school, I'm gonna make sure I do right by you. So that's why they got them grands. Somebody talk about them grands in the chat room. Somebody talk about them stacks. I had to pass out some stacks at Texas Southern University the other day. I had to pass out some stacks at that local historically black university the other day. Shout out to my historically black university family, because that's what I do. I went over there to TSU, see Uncle D is big and sturdy. Somebody type sturdy. I got the T and the S and I covered up the U. Somebody type sturdy in the chat room. Y'all see that? I was like, and the funny thing is sometimes I don't realize just how large of a man I am. I mean, I'm like 6'4", 300 pounds more. I'm losing weight there, but the bottom line is I'm standing sideways and I'm big as all these regular people. Praise God. Hallelujah, hallelujah. But anyway, man, so that's what I do in my spare time. I give it away. Somebody type give it away in the chat room. Shout out to my man Sigma Enigma. Hey, brother, just got myself some Texas barbecue and soaking up all the wisdom. Much appreciated. Yeah. So we winning out here, man. We the prize. You understand what I'm talking about? We are the prize. And I don't mind sharing my wealth. Just like I share my money, I put my money where my mouth is. I want to see you ball. And I want you to see you brothers have women out there who are good to you, women out there who are going to treat you well. And one of the best things you can do as a black man, especially as a successful black man, is help turn the tide of some of these opinions of these lovely ladies by saying, oh, I'm such a bad guy. Well, you know what? I'm going to reward this sister for the check. Now, of course, you guys see me do stuff for brothers. A lot of brothers got a problem with that, and that's just real sick. Because y'all got daughters, y'all got wives, y'all got mothers, and we should uplift our righteous sisters. We should reward the fit, feminine, beautiful women, even if they're a little chubby. Because when I was there, I passed out some money to some of the young ladies who had the best grades in the class, the one who was second in line to having the best grades. Shout out to my man TIQS. Salute Uncle D, giving back to the HBCUs. You're a true inspiration to black men. Hey, man, God is good. I do my best. I love my people. I want to see my people ball. Unfortunately, we need a good talking to. The brothers need a good talking to, but it's easier to talk to them because they'll get themselves together. And you see brothers have gotten themselves together. That's why over 60% of black men are in the middle class by the time they reach middle age. Middle age is like 35. You understand what I'm talking about? And so what we got to do is we got to get these sisters in line. I want you young men to have beautiful women to marry. My preference, of course, is for you to marry black women. My preference is for you to marry women of African descent. These two sisters happen to be foundational black American sisters, but nevertheless, I want to see you balling, and I want to see you have good women by your side. I don't have a problem with sharing the wealth. I share my money. I share my wisdom. I love you, brothers. What you put out in that world comes back to you. You understand me? And so what I'm talking about today, man, and I want to go ahead and get on this subject matter, is we're talking about black men are always and always will be the prize. And some people take offense to that, but it's just true. You understand what I'm saying? It's just true. Socially, financially, and politically. We are always going to be the prize. And it don't matter if you don't like, especially when it comes to the black community. After all, black men hold a uniquely influential position across various sectors of society. And like I said, socially, financially, and politically. And it makes us indispensable to the fabric of both the black community and the broader American culture. Let's examine socially. Black men have historically been icons of prominence and achievement, contributing significantly to the country's cultural and intellectual landscape. From athletes like Muhammad Ali to LeBron James, Michael Jordan's, who've transcended sports and become global influencers, to political leaders such as Barack Obama, to people like Dr. Martin Luther King, to people like Brother Malcolm X. These men broke barriers. You see, Barack Obama, whether you agree with his politics or not, he was a black man and the first black president. And many of those other men I mentioned were on the forefront of social change. Look at scientists like Dr. George Washington Carver. Y'all remember him from them Black history classes back in elementary school. Dr. George Washington Carver invented the peanut. Y'all remember that? And we look past that. But the truth is, fam, that's real stuff. Shout out to my man, Mark the Freelancer. And if you look at people like Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he's revolutionized certain fields and contributed to the global knowledge base. People all around the world watch that man. These achievements underscore the social status of black men as role models and pioneers whose visibility continues to inspire new generations of all colors. That's just socially. What about financially? Black men are crucial drivers of the U.S. economy. Our contributions as black men from multi-million-dollar entertainers and sports figures, or what we do for the sports industry at all. Y'all wouldn't watch the NBA if it was just a bunch of white dudes running around, and I'm talking to the white dudes. Would you? Tell the truth, right? We dominate as entertainers. We dominate as athletes and as cultural creators. From that to the workforce, where black men labor diligently in both blue collar and white collar jobs. And whether as entrepreneurs, engineers, factory workers, or doctors, black men infuse vital economic energy into the country. With our productivity, we power industries. Many sectors are driven by black men. In entertainment alone, black male figures like Jay-Z, Michael Jackson, Steel, Prince, right? Tyler Perry. You don't have to like their products, but recognize the economic effect. We talk about money. Somebody type money in the chat room. Now, these men have not only amassed personal fortunes, but they've also created economic opportunities for others. This furthers the narrative that black men are integral to the financial progress of America. Now, that's socially and financially. What about politically? Black men represent a critical segment of the black electorate. Listen, particularly with the Democratic Party. And without the consistent support of black men, the political landscape for major cities, often Democratic strongholds, they look dramatically different. And these cities are often described as islands of blue surrounded by oceans of red, due to their reliance on black voters to maintain political control. Black men, right? We are half of the black electorate. We have. And we play an indispensable role in shaping elections, outcomes, and all sorts of other political movements. And our political influence has far-reaching consequences, not only for the city governance, but also for national policy and the direction of the national policy. The withdrawal of black men. Let's look at what's happening now. The withdrawal of black male support disrupts the political balance. And that's what you see happening now. And you see Democratic strongholds in urban centers, which have been strongholds for Democrats, being challenged. Now, I know we got some lovely ladies in here. Shout out to the lovely sisters. I want y'all to hear something right now. When black women lose their influence and control over black men, the repercussions can be severe, and they are going to be severe. Historically, black women have held a certain degree of power, whether through family structures, social influence, or proxy mechanisms like law enforcement. She will call the cops on you. Shout out to Mecca Diebra. Let them know, Uncle D, I'm preaching. But when that influence diminishes, somebody type diminishes in the chat room. When that influence diminishes, so does their standing, particularly within the socio-political structure of the community. Somebody type, I don't need a man in the chat room. Somebody type, we don't need those black men in the chat. Come on now. Somebody type, I don't need no man in the chat room. That's what they said to us. But I'm going to argue that without black men, black women risk losing their position of authority and influence. In this dynamic, black women will be viewed as having less independent value on their own, as much of their societal power has historically been linked to their ability to influence and control black men. This idea is not unlike the fate of women in other societies throughout history who were considered spoils of war. Somebody typed spoils of war in the chat room. And when their communities were conquered, in these situations, the loss of male protectors and providers often led to a significant decline in women's societal value, as they were seen as more as a resource to be claimed rather than an anonymous individual with power. Am I flying over your head? Let me know, because I can slow down. All right, shout out to my man Timothy Humphrey. Let's examine that. Do you guys understand the principle that I'm talking about here? See, we've had something called the war of the sexes, and we have our beautiful, wonderful, fantastic, outstanding, lovely ladies tell us that they don't need a man. And so now what they called into existence is now happening. Now, before we go there, I want to make sure you understand what I talk about when I say control, okay? And we're going to talk about ways in which black women have controlled black men. We're going to start. Now, women typically control men in other ways, and we'll deal with that later. But the way black men, and that's through food, sex, attention, blah, blah, blah. They raise you, you love your mama, blah, blah, blah. That's why women like to keep their kids close. That's how they maintain control. Did I say shout out to Mark, to the freelancer? Shout out to everybody contributed to the super chat and the cash app. But let me get back to this. So historically, during the era of slavery and the plantation politics as they were, black women were often placed in positions of control over black men and black boys, a dynamic that was deliberately engineered by the plantation system to weaken the spirit and autonomy of the black community. You see, anytime you have black women in control and the black men are being undermined, that you got a weak community. And that's why the rise of strong, hardworking, decent black men, that's going to be a problem. That's a threat. That's a power threat. Now, how did they go about weakening black men? Well, one of the most brutal and psychologically devastating practices used to maintain this control was known as buck breaking. In this process, or should I say, in this process, the plantation overseers, who could be either white or black, but were always acting under the orders of white owners, would publicly beat, humiliate, and emasculate the strongest or most rebellious black men in front of their families and communities. The goal of this, and it was a spectacle, because they wouldn't just beat them in secrecy. They would have all the enslaved people come around, everybody on the planet come around and watch us beat old Paul, you see? And the goal of this spectacle was not only to physically punish the man, but to psychologically break him, ensuring that the rest of the enslaved population, particularly the women and children, would understand the consequences of defying the established order. See, this violent display sent a chilling message to the entire community. And that message was resistance would be met with devastating consequences, and compliance was necessary for survival. You understand that? Compliance was necessary for survival. And this systematic oppression had far-reaching consequences that extended beyond the physical abuse of the black man. And in many cases, black women seeing the vulnerability and helplessness of this big, strong black man who she looked up to and looked to for her safety, watching how he was brutalized under this regime, right? She realized that she had to take on a protective role, especially when it came to the male children. Can't have you getting out of line. Oftentimes, black women would be more harsh toward their children than the white folks would. There's a book by, I forget the psychologist, DeGray, I forget her name. She talks about the psychological effects of slavery. And Black women have been so conditioned. For example, on some of the slave plantations, you would have white women would come up and compliment a little Black child about how smart he is. And the white woman say, oh no, and the Black woman say, oh no, he's not smart. He dumb as a box of rocks. And she would say that because he was smart, he might be able to be sold off somewhere. If he was strong, he might be able to be sold off. So if he was healthy. So every time she said something good about this Black child, a Black woman would say, oh no, no, no. As a protection mechanism. And oftentimes she would beat her children harder for even the minor infractions, just so the master wouldn't come on and beat them. You understand what I'm saying? Now, again, initially this dynamic was driven by the maternal instinct to shield their sons from the harsh realities of slavery. It was driven by the woman's instinct to calm the man down. And by keeping your woman want to keep you safe. She want to know where you are. Some of them are just possessive. But for the most part, they want to know where you are. They want to know what you're doing. They want to know who you're around. And that's a female instinct. You see? But what it does is it keeps them submissive, or should I say by keeping the men submissive and encouraging them to stay in line. Somebody type stay in line. Black women hope to protect their children from the same fate that befell that rebellious man. However, over time, this protective instinct morphed into something far more complex, and in some cases, problematic. All right? Centuries of social conditioning created a certain dynamic in which some Black women began to assert dominant control over Black male children, and by extension, over Black men in general. What began as an act of protection against the cruelties of slavery evolved into a form of possessive ownership. They think they own you. They think they own you, and Black women shaped by generations of systematic oppression, even now continue to exercise control over Black men's lives. They think they own you, and this control often manifested in various forms of dominance, such as dictating behavior, enforcing compliance, and using societal systems like the police to maintain power over you. And this legacy of plantation politics and structural mechanisms of control, in some cases, left lingering effects of on the dynamics between Black men and women, where the roles of protector and a protectorate have sometimes been twisted into a form of possessive authority. Needless to say, this leads to an unhealthy power dynamic in the relationship, where historical traumas continue to influence the behaviors and expectations placed on Black men and women today. Here's the thing. There's an enduring impact of this historical control, and it's significant because it highlights the ways in which systematic oppression can have long-lasting effects on gender dynamics within the community. Black women, once forced into the role of protector, continue to feel a sense of responsibility for controlling Black men, even as Black men strive for autonomy in the world that still subjects them to various forms of oppression. Now, somebody type call the police in the chat room. Somebody type I'm gonna call the police in the chat room. I don't think there's ever been any bigger snitches on Black men than Black women. Again, as I said, over time, Black women have developed a sense of entitlement when it comes to exerting control over Black men through what can be called proxy violence. And this term refers to a practice of using external forces, typically male members of the families or the police, to enforce their will when a Black man steps out of line or behaves in a way that she disapproves. And that can be anything. She saw you with another woman, right? She picked a fight and to call the cops, right? You said something to her, she called her brothers and their daddies. And now you got to deal with that. That's called proxy violence, getting somebody else to do your violence for you because they're not strong enough or willing to do it. And see, this dynamic is rooted in historical power structures, and it allows Black women to maintain a level of control by calling on fathers, brothers, cousins, and other male figures to confront or discipline the black man in their lives, whether it's his partner, whether it's her husband, her baby daddy, or her son, or her nephew, or her grandson. How many of you black men have had a black woman call the police on you? Shout out to my man MC Recovery. He says, salute, great hanging with you in Houston. You cracked me up speaking when you said, put it in the chat. I know, man. Put it in the chat. Our son is evolving. My Rams is a loser. Oh, man, I don't want to hear about that NFL. I can't watch the NFL no more, baby. It's just a big letdown. But look, how many of you all have had a female relative, whether it's your grandmother, your auntie, your sister, or your mama, call the police on you, family? Huh? How many of you brothers, by a show of hands, pushing the number 1 button, how many of you have either had the police called on you by a black woman, or you know of a black man who's had the police called on him by a black woman for little or nothing? I'm not talking about real crimes. I'm talking about 911 is tattooed to the back of their hand as soon as they're born. Right? And then see this exercise, see, look at all the number 1s in the chat room, man. This is not something I'm making up. See, this exercise of power through proxy doesn't stop with family members. It extends to the state, and most notably through the police. Black women, like other women, are known to call law enforcement as a means of asserting control over black men, particularly in situations of conflict, but more so with black women. Unfortunately, this action, as we know, carries a devastating consequence for black men who are disproportionately targeted and mistreated by the justice system. Even the mere threat of involving law enforcement can function as a powerful tool or of controlling a relationship in a familiar situation. Your mama threatened to call the police on you. Your mama threatened to call the police on you because you won't make the bed. Not that you've committed any crime, but because she knows that if the police show up here at your house and they see a young black male or old black male, you might catch a beat down. Tell me, I'm telling the truth. You call the police on a black man, for the most part, you either want him to get arrested, beaten, or shot. Tell the truth, fam. Y'all know I'm speaking the truth. You call it, you making it, and then look. Here's what complicates it further. There's a tendency for many women to utilize this control even when they benefited from the actions of the men they now seek to punish. Think about this. Let's say you have a man who's provided financial support or resources through legal, but let's say illegal means. And while those contributions have been accepted by this woman and used to improve her situation, any missteps or disagreement could lead to her using the justice system against him. Think about that. She knows you have warrants. She knows you have a gun and you're a felon. She knows you have a stash spot. And as soon as the police show up, the first thing she tells them, he has a warrant for his arrest. He out on probation. He's out on parole. I'm telling y'all the truth. Y'all know I'm telling you the truth. Yet she's been the main one benefiting from his scamming and his scheming and his drug dealing and his illegal acts. Think about that. What this does is it creates a volatile dynamic where the man is never truly free from the looming threat of punishment or exposure, even if he's been a provider or protector. Think about that, man. It's more important for her to have control over you than for you to protect and provide for her. That's what that signals to me. Because she really thinks she can replace you with anybody. You're not that important. This is how meaningless, and I know there's some ladies listening to this, you don't have to like what I'm saying, but these facts bear out to be true, family. It's the truth. And somebody needs to say it. See, this behavior highlights a broader issue of power imbalances and how historical patterns of control have persisted into modern black male-female relationships. See, the justice system which has long been a tool of oppression of black men, can be weaponized in personal conflicts, further entrenching the divide between black men and black women, which it has been. Because see, if they're not calling 911 on you, they are also calling the child support people on you. Tell the truth. They're also calling the child support. You got a new woman at the house and you drop that baby off, or you pick that baby up with that new woman in the car, you might get the police called on you because she don't want that other woman around her child. And so all they have to do is call the cops. That's why if a woman even threatens to call the police on you, relationship is over. If a woman even threatens to call the police on you, it's a wrap. Done. You moving out in silence. You play it off, pretend like nothing's wrong. Next day she come back, all the furniture is out the house, all your clothes. You gone. You hear me? You Airbnb for the next month or two, right? Till you get your credit cleaned up and you can get your apartment. If she even smells like she about to call the police on you at all, and you never forget it. You never forget that. See, for black men, any run-in with the law can have severe consequences, from financial devastation to imprisonment. And the mere accusation can be enough to tarnish your reputation and any opportunities you may have. Because you get arrested, they're going to charge you with resisting arrest. You're going to have to deal with that for a year and a half. A judge is going to cost you $10,000. I mean, the lawyer's going to want $10,000. That's just to get it dismissed. That's just to get it dismissed. I'm telling y'all the truth now. So by using proxy violence, black women perpetuate a cycle of control and punishment that echoes to the oppressive systems that originally gave rise to these dynamics. And while this intention wasn't always malicious, in other words, they thought they were protecting you at a certain, the outcome now, what it is right now, is deeply harmful. And it reinforces stereotypes and perpetuates mistrust and a driving wedge between black men and black women. And this cycle of using external forces like the police and brothers and sisters and family members to resolve internal conflicts, it reflects a need to address a broader systematic and relational issue that has fostered this behavior amongst black folks. Now, the crazy part is, I want y'all to listen to this. Low-class black women. And I'm separating us. We are not all the same. Come on, somebody type. What did Kendrick Lamar say? Huh? What did he say? What was his phrase that he's made famous? They not like us? No. Don't put me in the category with them low-class degenerates. Not gonna happen. Because see, low-class black women prefer those compromised men that I was talking about earlier. Somebody type compromised men in the chat room. And shout out to everybody who's contributing to the super chat. Somebody type compromised men in the chat room. In certain socioeconomic circles, particularly among what I refer to as lower class black people, black women specifically, and you can have a degree and be low class. You can have a few dollars in your pocket and be low class. You can be riding around in a BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Bentley and be low class. But amongst that group, there's an unsettling preference for men involved in illegal activities such as scamming, boosting, and drug dealing. They like Pookie and Ray Ray. And see, this preference is not simply about financial gain. Even though these men often bring money into the relationship. They may bring it through illicit means, but they bring money in. See, why is that? There's a power dynamic at play. These women are drawn to black men that they can control. Somebody type control him in the chat room. Somebody type I can control him in the chat room. I can control him. If he dates another woman while he's with me, I'm gonna call the police. If he says something I don't like, I'm gonna call the police. He doesn't have anywhere else to go. I can put him out the house. Control. You see? Black men whose illegal activities makes them vulnerable. And at any moment, if a conflict arises or this black man acts against this black woman's interests, that woman can leverage her knowledge of his criminal behavior to control him by threatening or actually calling the police on her. And this ability to pull the plug, somebody type pull the plug on his freedom at any time gives her significant power over him. And it ensures that he remains incompliant under threat. See, this power dynamic plays into a broader issue where black women use the legal system as a tool to control. If it's not the police, it's the family law system. If it's not the police, it's the family court. She puts you on child support because you got a new woman. And see, she wants to mess with your money. She wants to make sure you pay every month. And the moment you don't, it's her decision whether or not you go to jail after the state comes and holds you in contempt. So that's good. I put my damn self on child support because I don't want nobody having control over me. I already knew how that game worked. Nevertheless, in relationships, this manifests in false accusations, particularly related to DV, particularly related to abuse and SA. Even if these accusations are baseless, they can have a catastrophic consequence for the man involved. And y'all know you can never live that down. The mere suggestion of such misconduct will tarnish your reputation. And in many cases, these allegations are treated with presumption of guilt rather than innocence. And black men in particular, we're very vulnerable to these accusations because of the existing stereotypes and biases within the legal system, and that often portray us as inherently dangerous, violent, or over-sexual. One of the more troubling, and I'm gonna hit y'all with something, where all the stepdaddies at? Where all the dudes who dated them baby mamas? They got kids, especially the ones with grown kids, halfway grown kids, teenage kids. This is a troubling aspect of this dynamic and how it extends to familial relationships. I'm specifically talking about factual allegations of abuse, particularly sexual abuse, leveled against fathers, grandfathers, uncles, and stepfathers. Now, as a father, grandfather, uncle, you might not be able to escape it, but the stepfather in particular. Because see, if you a father, grandfather, uncle, there's going to be people saying, no, that girl, no, I was with granddaddy. He ain't do none of that. Granddaddy don't even want to be bothered with them kids. You still will have family on the inside, on your side. But the stepfather, all you fellas who've stepped up to play father, you may find yourself in a precarious situation. You may become a target of resentment from your stepchildren, who may fabricate allegations out of anger or discomfort with your presence, alleging that you hit one of them kids, or if it's a girl child involved, Lord forbid, an unfounded accusation of sexual abuse against a minor, a girl minor, that's going to linger forever. That's going to cause irreversible damage to your personal, social life, and possibly business life, regardless of the outcome of the investigation. Because people believe where there's smoke, there's fire. And you do still want to step up and play stepdaddy? See, this pattern of calling the police on black men is a pattern of behavior that's learned at an early age. And some young black girls grow up witnessing the power that can be wielded through the strategic use of accusations and the legal system. They see their mama do it. They see their grandmother do it. They see their auntie do it. They see their sisters doing it with their baby daddies and fathers. And so as a result, they're taught, whether explicitly or implicitly, how to exercise control over black men by manipulating these systems of authority. And this creates an unhealthy cycle of dominance and subjugation that perpetuates distrust and division within family and relationships. So when you have people like Dr. Umar Johnson saying we just supposed to get back together with these queens, he's not addressing this. When you have people like Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I deal with them because they are professionals, they have doctor in front of their name. And I would think that they would be more thoughtful and understand where black men are coming from. Nobody's going to run back to this. They're not considering the broader societal issue here and how the legal system originally intended for protection can be weaponized as a means of control. And for black men who are already disproportionately targeted by law enforcement, this can be a matter of life and death. This is a life-altering set of consequences. And this power dynamic not only damages relationships, but it also reinforces harmful stereotypes and perpetuates a cycle of mistrust between black men and black women. Understanding and addressing this dynamic requires a critical examination of both interpersonal relationships and the broader societal systems that facilitate these manipulations. And until we actually deal with that, there's going to be that divide. And that's what we talked about today. I want you to hear me. Somebody said, I don't need a man. Somebody typed, the black man is the prize and always will be. Now, what happens when you lose your prize? That's what we're going to get at. I'm going to land this plane in a minute. Now, I talked about some unnatural means of control. Women have controlled men for thousands of years, right? In many of the traditional and natural settings, they usually control you by influence, not by proxy violence. They control you by influence, not by force. They lure you in. They don't force you in. And so the traditional, or should I say, in many traditional and natural settings, let's say you got y'all any where my country boys at? All my country boys out there. Where my country boys at? Huh? If you ever seen a plow, somebody, ain't no country boys in here. Where my country boys at? Huh? Where my country boys at? Shout out to Chris 1911. Where my country boys at? American black men are the best black men on the planet. Black men are the prize. Yeah, yeah. Where my country boys at? What country? Where you from? Right? Country boys will tell you, if you got a mare and you got a young stallion or an older stallion, you put that mare next to that stallion will calm down. And that's why back in the day, they used to, a mare was often tied to a strong, powerful stallion to help keep him calm and guide his behavior. And the stallion, known for his strength and intensity, he may provide the majority of the physical power when pulling the load or working in tandem, but it is the mare who exercises subtle control, directing and calming him. Despite the stallion's immense strength, the mare's influence keeps him balanced and manageable. And this analogy reflects a natural dynamic observed in many species where the female plays a crucial role in guiding and stabilizing the male, ensuring harmony and order. Somebody type harmony and order in the chat room. Now, in human relationships, women in general have also been equipped with natural tools to exercise influence and control over men, regardless of race or culture. And these tools, which evolved over time through both biological and societal, or should I say social development, include elements such as sexual allure. She fine. We know where you're going to be. You're going to be running behind her with your nose open. She fine. That's sexual allure. She can keep you going in the direction they need you to go in. She's fine. The other thing is emotional support. I don't care how big and bad you are. Everybody likes for that lady to give them a little emotional support when they're having a hard day, don't you? Right? Even the big bad Blizzard King. The Ice Queen keeps me happy. You know what I'm talking about? The Blizzard Queen keeps me happy, keep me full and fed. I post up photographs of the food I eat. I'm just so happy. Me and my big old bad self. Emotional support, nurturing, right? Your lady come up to you and give you a little hug and rub you on your back, talk to you real sweet, right? That calms your big bad self down. You a straight killer in them streets. And when your woman get hold of you, she got you wrapped around her little finger. Nurturing, right? And what else? That validation you get when your woman is proud of you and happy and brags on you and says nice things about you, right? She tells you how much she cares about you and appreciate the sacrifices that you make. Yeah, man. All women of all cultures are given these natural tools to exercise influence and control over men. And see, here's the thing. Women across all cultures have long used these attributes not only to attract men, but also to subtly guide their actions and behaviors within relationships and society. Look, this ability to influence through non-physical means, non-violence, non-force, it's a fundamental aspect of female power. And has played a key role in shaping human interactions through history. I tell women all the time, you win through your submission. You win through your submission. You can control a man with these very subtle actions: food, sex, attention, validation. But the thing is, you can't ruin that by trying to be a man and manhandling a man. You're gonna have to pick a lane. Somebody type pick a lane in the chat room. You can't be a manly woman. You can't be a masculine woman. You're gonna have to be a feminine woman who's sexually alluring, who's emotionally supportive, who's nurturing, who validates her man. And if you stay on that lane, you'll win in the end. But let's break it down a little bit more. Sexual attraction is one of the most powerful tools women have to influence men, drawing them from deep biological instinct. Girl, they need that. You understand? These dudes are traveling overseas. They need that. They going overseas. They picking up their whole life and moving overseas to get attention and affection from women because that's incredibly validating for men. Providing emotional stability and reinforcing a man's sense of worth. Similarly, food. Somebody type good eating in the chat room. Food. Food, historically tied to nurturing roles, has been used as a way to care for and connect with men on a deeper level. And that builds bonds and fosters loyalty. Y'all know what they say. A way to a man's heart is where? Through his belly. I might give y'all a whole lesson I don't give relationship advice, but ladies, first you get his belly. First you get his balls, then you get his belly. You understand what I'm saying, ladies? Listen to me. First you get his balls, and then you get his belly. You get him in with the sex, and you hold on to him with the food. You know where he's gonna be. He's gonna be, if you cook good and you putting it out there for him, he'll be with you. I'm just saying. Sex might not hold him, but some good cooked food 3 times a day, it's hard to walk away from that. Because every man, you're going to need food before you need sex. Most men don't know that. Working men expect. I'm trying to tell you, ladies, it's not that hard, right? First you get his balls, then you get his belly. Everything else comes along after that. That's old school. Now, validation. A lot of you ego-driven women don't like to give your men validation. But validation through praise and encouragement and emotional support, it further reinforces this connection, and it makes men more receptive to a woman's influence. Look, if you praising this man and you encouraging him and you giving him emotional support, golly, you can pretty much influence him to do anything. That's why these women are winning out here. That's why these white girls are winning. That's why these Asian girls are winning. That's why these Latin women are winning. But black women, our culture has taught you that you make a man do what you want to do. And if he doesn't do it, you call the police and you call the men folk in your family to come force him to do it. And you got to stay in your lane. You got to pick a lane. And you pick the masculine lane. And you've been masculine and you've been failing. And now your men are running off. And that's what we're getting at. See? The thing about these traditional means, or should I say these natural, normal means of control that women use, these mechanisms are neither inherently manipulative or negative. Rather, they are the natural ways through which women have navigated their relationships with men. They are the tools that have evolved alongside societal norms and expectations. And it ensures balance between the relationship. Much like that mare guiding the stallion, women use these tools to maintain stability, harmony, and it oftentimes it softens the rougher edges of masculine energy, and they can do that with their unique form of influence. Now, over time, this dynamic has become ingrained in social gender roles. That's where the gender roles come from. Gender roles didn't just pop up out of nothing, right? It reflects the natural interplay between masculine strength and feminine influence. And this balance, rooted in both biology and culture, has shaped family structures, communities, civilizations, and has done so for hundreds of thousands of years. However, right? However, these tools should be used, these powerful tools, it should be used with care and responsibility. And what you want to do as a good woman is and make sure you the influence you exert is done so that fosters mutual respect, equality within a relationship, rather than just domination control. Now, we got about a little over 200 people in here. We're going to take a little break, hit the number 1 button. But what I'm going to do is this, and this is where it gets stinky, okay? When I come back, this is what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to put it up on the screen because this is where we at. Remember what we talk about. Black men are and always will be the prize. And I laid that foundation, okay, for a reason. I laid that foundation for a reason. What do we talk about? I explained to you that black men are always the prize, socially, financially, politically. We talked about ways in which black women have controlled black men in this country because of slavery. I explained proxy violence to you. I explained how low-class women actually seek out compromised men because they're easy to control. And then I also explained the natural, normal control mechanisms. Now, when we go back, what happens when black men say, man, F that, I don't want to have anything to do with these women. I'm going to date out, I'm going to marry out, or better yet, I'm going to be by myself, okay? Or I might even get a passport to go overseas. What happens when that happens? What happens when black women can no longer influence or control black men and they lose that societal gravitas that black men have? They lose the finance and they lose the politics. This is what we're going to talk about when we come back. Y'all make sure y'all show me some love by subscribing to the channel. Also, make sure that you, if you enjoying what you hear, if you like this level of conversation, this graduate level, this get down, man, make sure you show me some love by kicking into the Super Chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal. I'll be back in a minute.
In this Spurling podcast, click your mouse pad. Yeah, we out back. Hit the like, hit subscribe. Don't just hate watch, cause we outside. Let them hate watch, go and play pop. We just lay back. He don't play that. We don't play back. We don't play back. We go way back. Black men, yeah, we earn something. Tune in, gotta learn something. Uncle D podcast, bump it. Likes up, hit the sub button. Black men, yeah, we earn something. Tune in, gotta learn something. Uncle D podcast, bump it. Likes up, hit the sub button. This is Dennis Spurling podcast. Don't just hate watch, hit subscribe and let them know we outside. Don't hold hate, donate. Super chat, cash app. Put something in the collection plate. Church.
I want y'all to make sure y'all hit the number 1 button. And we're going to kind of get back to what we like to do over here, man. I need y'all to check in at a certain point when it's time to check in. I need to checking in to start happening again. We got to go ahead and get this algorithm pumping. All right, welcome back. Shout out to my man, Canary Balance, for the collection plate, man. We are darn near an hour in, man. I thought y'all would enjoy this, man. Somebody type black men are the prize in the chat room. Somebody type black men winning in the chat room. Somebody type black men are the prize in the chat room, because they always say we're not the prize. And I'm going to explain to you why we are the prize and how not only is the black community, but black women are going to quickly find out they're going to suffer the consequences of losing their prize to black men. You see, that's what we're getting at. Because for years, I've been hearing people say, who's the prize? Who's the prize? I'm explaining to you why black men are the prize. So you can take this, you can chop this up, you can talk about it all over the internet. I won't strike you. You understand? I want to hear what you have to say. I'm explaining to you why America and the rest of the world has designated black men as the prize. And what happens when black women can no longer influence or control black men, who are the main reason that they have so much influence. Shout out to my man, Timothy Humphrey. He says, Uncle D, even within the NOI, you had what was also known as the pipe squad or the goon squad, which could be deployed by women who accuse their husbands of abuse. That man would then be dealt with. You see, that's another example of proxy violence. You see what I mean? That's another example of proxy violence. And so, and women probably wanted that. Either they call them or they call the police. That's no different than plantation politics. We gonna beat him so the white man doesn't have to, and he end up with a black eye nonetheless. You understand what I'm saying, fam? So I want you all to consider that this is a cultural issue, and other people in other cultures are not privy to understanding what we're dealing with. But here's the thing: if black men are the prize, and they're the reasons why black women have they have the social standing that they do. They're the reason why black men are the reason why black women have the financial standing that they do. Black men are the reasons why black women have the political standing that they do. What happens when black women can no longer control or influence black men? And this question opens up a critical discussion about power dynamics, both within the black community and the society at large. Historically, black women have played a significant role in shaping the decisions, behaviors, and even the political tendencies of black men. Whether through family dynamics, you can't tell 10 years ago, 2016, you couldn't tell your mama you was voting for Donald Trump, could you? You couldn't tell the black people in your community you were voting for Donald Trump. They call you all sorts of mean names. Uncle Tom, House Negro, all that. Right? You definitely couldn't go home to the cookout. Somebody type F the cookout in the chat room. Right? Because of family dynamics. So they influence your politics through relationships, through your societal roles. And black women have exerted influence, often guiding even the spending habits. You went to see the movie because your mama wanted to see it, or your grandma, your girlfriend wanted to see it. They also have been instrumental in shaping the political allegiances that black women have. And they play a key role in societal order of the communities. They do. You vote Democrat, the rest of the men are voting Republican, but you black men who benefit from the same things that other black men in general benefit, you vote Democrat because of the influence of black women. Now, what happens when this influence begins to wane? They said they don't need a man. Somebody type, I'm strong, independent, and don't need a man. They said I don't need a man, right? Well, what happens when black men say, okay, cool, and they begin to assert their independence, particularly in matters of finance? You're not going to the club anymore. You're not going to the comedy shows. You're not going to the concerts. What happens in matters of finance and social choices and political decisions? What's going to happen is, and what you see happening is, black women are finding themselves losing a sense of control they once had and that they took for granted. Somebody type take for granted in the chat room. And this shift is leading to larger consequences, not only within the black community, but also in terms of how black women are perceived by the dominant society. Listen. See, without the ability to control or heavily influence black men, who are the prize, black women lose certain perceived value in the eyes of society. You can't control that black man. We don't need you anymore. Because, see, historically, the dominant society have often viewed women, particularly in marginalized groups, through the lens of their relationship to their men, whether as nurturers, supporters, or influencers. And when the influence diminishes, so too may their perceived importance within certain societal structures. They said they don't need a man. See, prominence and societal status play a critical role in shaping the experiences and opportunities for Black folks, or for all individuals, but especially Black folks in the United States, because that's what we talk about. And Black women in particular have derived their social capital from their ability to influence Black men. But as Black men gain more autonomy, the following shifts are going to occur. The first thing, Black men who achieve prominence in fields of sports and politics and entertainment, business, they've become highly visible role models, haven't they? Robert F. Smith, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James. And what happens is this individual success challenges the stereotypes and it inspires younger generations. But if these men's achievements are increasingly independent of Black women and their influence, it's going to shift the dynamic of representation within the community. The visibility of successful Black men might not increasingly, or should I say, when you have a successful Black man and he's autonomous and on his own, that's going to overshadow whatever Black women are doing. And it reduces their social status and cultural capital. You're not even associated with Black men anymore. That's just a Black man doing his own thing. And Black women can no longer reap the benefit of that. You said you didn't need a man. And now you have this rich, successful Black man. He got a white woman and a white wife. His mama white and his wife is white. What's the name of that football player at the Kansas City Chiefs that won the Super Bowl a couple of times? What's his name? Prime example. What's his name? What's the Kansas City Chief quarterback? What's his name? He got a white mom and a white wife. No Black woman around. And what about that Mahomes? Yeah, his daddy Black. No Patrick Mahomes. Patrick, think about that. There's no Black woman that can take credit or associate herself with that Super Bowl champion's status, even though he's a Black man. I want you to think about how significant that is. Think about that. And there's so many other examples of that. Historically, Black women have played a significant role in advocating for social justice, equality, and political change. But without the influence over Black men, in other words, you're just about a bunch of women out there screaming at justice. Black women are going to find it very challenging to mobilize the entire community. If Black men no longer align with the same social and political causes, right, you're going to find these advocacy efforts are going to lose momentum, and it weakens the collective power of the community in pushing for change. But Black men don't care because they're separating themselves from those institutions in the community, the church, the schools, the family structures. They said they didn't need a man, right? They said, I don't need a man, right? I need 12 more super chats. I know you're learning something. Social status. Social status opened doors to better economic opportunities. And Black men who rise to prominence in their careers often create pathways for others, including women, through mentorship and financial investment. Did you just see what I started off with earlier? A Black man gave scholarship money to 2 young Black women at a historically Black college. I want you to think about the significance of that. I, who've reached rise to prominence in my career, have helped create a pathway for other Black women. What if I said, oh, well, nah, I ain't gonna do it. They said they don't need men, right? So I'm just not gonna be there for them. What happens if the influence that black women have on black men fades? It's going to result in fewer economic opportunities being directed towards initiatives that specifically support black women or their causes. That's what's happening. Are y'all understanding this? This might be over your head. Maybe that's why I'm not getting the response I need. Somebody type, I understand in the chat room. Somebody type, I overstand in the chat room. Somebody type, I can dig it in the chat room if you want to take it back to the 70s. Somebody type, I can dig it in the chat room, right? Economic opportunities begin to dwindle. What about the cultural influence? When you have prominent black sports figures and entertainers that help shape the cultural narratives, Jackie Robinson, I mean, that man helped change the world. If you saw his movie. And as black men gain more independence and prominence without the direct influence of black women, the cultural narrative is going to shift away from the themes that center around black women's experiences and concerns. And this is going to result in black women feeling sidelined in cultural discussions that focus more on the success and visibility of black men. Ain't no black woman around. You getting to the point that black men are being born to women who are not black. He got a black daddy and a Latina mom. His grandma was light-skinned. He got a black daddy and an Asian mom and a white wife. Ain't no black women around. What cultural influence is she gonna have over this prominent NBA player? Look at the NBA draft. All them dudes are light-skinned. I mean, so I'm like, what happened to the dark-skinned brothers like in the Lakers? I mean, golly. I mean, I'm just saying, you know, as a light-skinned brother, it's cool. I mean, you know, I'm all for the team light-skinned, but golly, all of them dudes look like 6 foot, 7 foot biracial kids. They balling. I'm saying they're balling. But it's their mamas was white, their daddy was black, and their girlfriends are Latino or white. There's no black women around. What sort of cultural influence are you gonna have? What about community empowerment? The social and economic prominence helps mobilize its resources that benefit the entire community. And as black men gain more control over their decisions, in other words, we're not listening to these lovely ladies anymore. Somebody type Big Mama is dead in the chat room. Then somebody type Big Mama is dead in the chat room. I see people using my stuff now. That's all good. Go on, use it. Somebody type Big Mama is dead. As black men gain more control over their decisions, the direction of these resources is going to shift. If black men's goals and priorities diverge from those of black women, which they're doing, the sense of community empowerment is going to fragment, and it's going to reduce the collective efforts to address issues like health and education, economic disparities that have historically affected black women. Look, your mama's passed away. You're a multimillionaire. Your children are white, or half white, or whatever. Your baby mom, look, your baby mama and your wife are white. There's no black women in around to influence you. You understand what I'm saying? How can they use you for your power and influence to help you do anything? They can't even get at you. They're not even in your circle. And if you don't have these prominent black men speaking up for you with their finance, their social, their social power and sway, what are you gonna do? Look, man, whether you like it or not, the integration of sports really helped push America forward. These athletes who these young kids grew up looking up to, these entertainers singing these beautiful songs. Smokey Robinson, Nat King Cole, got white boys out there, whoo, all that. Influenced a whole generation of white music artists like the Beatles and Elvis Presley and all of them. They took that black music, they made some money off of it, but you still spreading black music. And people say, well, where'd the source of that come from? These brothers helped change the dynamic of the United States, which then helped change the world as far as race. And so what happens when black women no longer have control or reap the benefit from that societal that societal effect that black men have? I'm just saying. Somebody type strong, independent, and don't need a man in the chat room. Somebody type, I don't need a man in the chat room. Somebody type INDEPENDE. They was making songs about it when I was young. You know what that means? I got my own house. I got my own car. I'm bad, but they make songs about it. Now, for the purposes of this particular time period that we're in, what about political representation? Black women have been the backbone of the political mobilization in most of the black communities throughout America, especially within the Democratic Party. If black men begin to assert political independence and shift their allegiance, the voting bloc is going to fracture. And this shift, and what you see happening is this shift is weakening the political power of black women because they lose their influence over the political decisions of black men, and this leads to reduced focus on their issues, specifically stuff that matters to them. And what are the broader implications of this? I need 12 more super chats. While black women have traditionally held significant influence over black men in various spheres, the diminishing of the control is leading to a profound change within the black community and beyond. Prominent black men are beginning to operate in spaces that are increasingly separate from the guidance of support of black women. And it's leading to the realignment of social, political, and cultural priorities. Look at this whole YouTube space. Look at all these black men speaking freely and openly about how they feel as far as politics and finance and all that. They're trying to get us to refocus on the community. What are you doing for the community? Absolutely nothing. Getting this passport, going overseas, keeping my money to myself, minding my business. Somebody type minding my business in the chat room. And what is this doing? This shift is altering the role that black women play in society, particularly in how they are valued by both the black community and the broader society. Damian Cross, big shout out to you. I need 11 more super chats. Let's just keep it 100. Some of y'all was mad that I gave those beautiful young black women scholarships, right? This would be unheard of 15 to 20 years ago, right? You would have been shouted down. They'd have called you all sorts of names. But now it's just kind of something that's understood, isn't it? You all don't value black women the way the societies that came before us because they're not the central focus. Making children and having families with black women is not the central focus of black men for the most part. I hate to say it like that, but it's true. Look, prominence and social status don't automatically eliminate systematic equalities, but they can provide platforms for advocacy and opportunities. And the key question moving forward is how black women will adapt to these changing dynamics when you don't have these black men who are in your back pocket that you can influence. If they can no longer control black men's spending habits, political choices, or social behaviors, they may need to find ways to assert their own prominence and maintain their influence within the community, ensuring their voices remain central to the broader narrative of black success and empowerment. But how do they do that? How do you do that when high status black men begin to separate themselves from black women? Somebody type men with money in the chat room. Speaking of which, I need 11 more super chats. Somebody type man with the money in the chat room. If high status black men, high value black men, and this is the thing that Kevin Samuels feared the most. I have spent the last 5 years, Kevin, I've spent this last 5 years talking to black men, getting them together, helping them become high value men, high earning, not rich yet, Blue Henrys. But now when I look over here, there's no suitable black women for them because the women that they otherwise would be with think they're better than these men, even though she has 2 children, she's a size 16, and her sexual marketplace value has decreased because she's over the wall or hit the wall. This is something that Kevin Samuels feared. You got high-value black men who separate themselves from black women and the broader community, particularly due to the war on sexes. Somebody type war on sexes in the chat room. Shout out to Damian Cross. Talk to him, Blizzard King. The war on sexes. And this has several profound implications, and they're going to arise, or you see them arising from the social status of black women. This is the scenario, right? You see a fragmentation and a shift in the gender dynamics as related to the community's economic, social, and cultural structure. Think about this. What's going to happen when successful black men begin to withdraw? When you have prominent black men withdrawing, it's going to lead to significant economic instability within the black community. High status black men who often contribute to the households and the community base and the taxes and all these initiatives and mentorship programs and local businesses, either through financial support or through the creation of opportunities for others like myself, giving out scholarships. What happens if I separate myself from the black community or black women in general? What happens to the broader black community if millions of black men begin to do this? And there's an absence of those resources and an absence of that economic influence. It's going to likely diminish the funding for essential community programs that limit job opportunities. It's the same thing that happened when the doctors and lawyers and businessmen moved out of the hood. When you don't have that financial backing, that social backing, when you have these successful black men moving on, black women find it very hard to sustain initiatives that promote social mobility and community growth because the tax base is not there. The manpower is not there. The gravitas is not there. When you have high status black men who play a key role in advocating for representation within the culture, politically, and in the social spheres, their success in business, sports, entertainment, and politics helps elevate the visibility of the entire black community, including black women. When Muhammad Ali was doing his thing, the whole world was looking at black folks. Our athletes worked hand in hand with our political folks and our community activists like like Malcolm X and Brother Muhammad Ali, like Martin Luther King. It elevated black people to a world stage. Where'd this man come from? Where'd this champion come from? He came from those little old foundational black American people who are descended from slaves over there in America. Wow. What happens when these men begin to distance themselves? It results in a noticeable decline in the representation of black women in these spaces because, see, if they don't see the black man, sister, they're not going to see you either. They don't see you. They see black men around the world, women around the world. They see the prominence of a Michael Jordan. They see the prominence of a Kobe Bryant. They see the prominence of a Mike Tyson. They see the prominence of a Barack Obama. They don't see you. The only black person, only black woman around the world that most women can name is Oprah Winfrey. And that's once in a generation. But they can literally name hundreds of black men that they look up to and idolize. And so without the prominence of black men, you become not noticeable. But you said you don't need a man. And so now, ladies, you're going to find yourselves with fewer advocates and high-profile positions, which would in turn limit your ability to influence policies, culture, narratives, and media representation. Because those women around the world want to know what these prominent, wealthy, successful black men want. And if they don't want you, then they're going to be like, oh, well. That's why they look to you. The white woman, the Asian woman, the Latina woman looks to the black woman because you have the black man, because the black man is the prize. Hello. Let me say that again. The white woman, the Asian woman, the Latina woman looks to the black woman for how you dance, how you dress, what you wear, how you walk, how you talk, because you have the black man and the black man is the prize, and they want to reach down like an eagle's claw and snatch that black man up away from you. The black man is the prize, not you. Ain't nobody coming into the black community snatching these lovely ladies up with no eagle's claw. Some of y'all are a little too husky for that. You might need a crane or something with a 10,000 pound lift capacity, because y'all a little too chubby for it to be snatched up by eagle's claw. Eagles have a weight limit, praise God. Hallelujah. Mm-hmm. But the black man is the prize. Somebody type, the black man is the prize in the chat room. Somebody type eagle claw in the chat room. Oh man. But am I starting to bring this on home now? You starting to understand now? See, when you have the separation of high status black men from black women, this is going to exacerbate existing divisions within the black community. Number one, relationships and networks that once relied on mutual support between black men and black women, they're going to become strained, and they have. And it's leading to isolation for many black women. It's a lot of lonely black women. You want to see lonely? Go to the restaurant on a Friday or a Saturday and look how many black women are sitting next to each other without a man. Any city where they have black men, shout out to my man MC Recover, black men winning is what Uncle D said while speaking. Listen, go to the restaurants, go to the fancy restaurants, and look at all those black women huddled up 5 or 6 deep by themselves. And no black man. And then you look around, everybody else is coupled up. You will oftentimes see black men with women of other races snuggled up. I'm telling you the truth. You don't have to like what I'm saying, but I'm going to speak the truth to you. You're isolated, lovely ladies. You're isolated because you didn't realize that black men are and always have been the prize. And you thought you got this, or you thought it was you that they liked. No. See, with the absence of social and economic collaboration between black men and black women, there's going to be a ripple effect, weakening the bonds of solidarity that are crucial for empowerment and advocacy. Because at the end of the day, the brothers don't care anymore. We didn't get anything from that advocacy. Black women still benefit from that. We don't. How do we benefit from, I don't know, affirmative action? It's gone now. How do we benefit from the Democratic Party? We don't now. Every time we invent something, you jump in front of it. Look at rap music. Black men invented that. Black men invented R&B. And look at the biggest stars. Running it into the dirt. Cardi B, Sexy Red. Just think about it. We don't really benefit, so we leaving it alone. And so, ladies, what you're gonna find is your social networks and your support systems are deteriorating. And it's gonna make it harder to navigate challenges posed by systematic racism and sexism. You're not gonna make it without black men. And see, the perception of black women in society is gonna undergo negative transformation because you don't have us to hide behind anymore. So they're gonna see you for who you are. And as a high status black men begin to separate themselves, right? Societal narratives are gonna shift. And it's gonna be portraying black women as less desirable, ladies. Why would these other women around, why would these men want you in your own, these men from these other countries and nations and races want you if your own men don't want you? Your high value men are going for white women, Latina women, and Asian women. Not necessarily because they physically desire them more, but because they're more agreeable, because they use that sort of level of control, those natural levels of control that I explained, and all men, but black men included, find that more desirable. And so if they find you less, if black women are found less desirable, that means you're gonna be valued less. All because you said you don't need a man. All because you didn't realize that black men are and always will be the prize. Shout out to my man Timothy Humphrey. Corinthians said man is his glory of God, and it didn't say her. Yeah. So what you dealing with now? Now you got self-esteem issues. You have a negative impact on your self-perception because you got all these prominent black men who are dating out. All these seem like every other rich black man has a non-black woman on his arm. Becky, Maria, and Maylene. You've lost the validation from that successful group of black men, coupled with the broader societal pressures that already undermine the worth of black women. And this is leading to a decline in your social standing. And that affects both your mental health and your social capacity. I wish y'all would listen to me. I wish your pastors and preachers would preach this to you. But since they don't have the courage to tell you the truth, I have to do it. I need 8 more super chats. Black men are and always will be the prize, but you didn't realize that. You thought you were the prize because you had control and influence over the prize. You didn't think the prize was going to go anywhere. You thought you had the prize on lock, and the prize said, you know what? I'm done. And the prize said, I'm out. Somebody type, I'm out in the chat room. That's why you have nearly 50% of black men who are married, who are not married and don't have children. You have black men who are traveling overseas by droves and staying. You have black men who are not interested in getting married, don't want to have children, and for the most part are separating themselves for all the major institutions. They'd rather go to play video games than go to church. They rather go read books and go bird watching than go hang out at the club. I'm telling you the truth, ladies. You've lost control and influence over these men. And this is what's happening. The next thing is, right? And shout out to my man Boondock Paint, the feminist movement duped BWs to divest from their men all the while they stay with their, hoodwinked, as Malcolm said. I need 7 more super chats. Here's another thing. Now, what are the ladies going to do in response? They're not going to take this line down. We don't expect them to. We know our women. We know how they are. You're going to see an increase in activism. In response to this marginalization, black women are going to become more active in advocating for their own rights and representation. Y'all remember, was it Cooking with the Queens? Cocktails with the Queens? What about us? Why do I have to advocate for you if you're a black person? Because it ain't like it used to be. These black men have separated themselves from us, and we know it, and y'all know it. So we're going to start advocating for ourselves. Historically, black women could have demonstrated resilience in the face of adversity, and this situation is going to spark even a stronger activist movement. Because see, movements focus on gender equality and racial justice and community solidarity. They're going to gain momentum as black women rally to assert their own presence and power because they're losing it. They don't have the man there. They don't have the prize there anymore. So they got to step up. Somebody type step up. And they're going to get loud with it, right? They're going to become more critical of sexism and racism, these systematic inequalities. Didn't they just undo, the Supreme Court just undid affirmative action? And nobody cares? Well, black men don't care. And now you see a lot of black women take positions of leadership and trying to run these social movements, but nobody cares. Nobody cares because you've lost the control you had over your prize, ladies. That's why people like Kobe Bryant pissed black women off so much, because they didn't have the control and influence over that black man. It makes black women so upset when black men who are prominent marry out, because they know that they don't have any influence. They can't get any clout from him. This is what's happening. But instead of just admitting that you're the prize, they're denied. No, you're not the prize. You telling me this multimillionaire black man who influences billions of people around the world It's not the prize. You want to give credit. What's LeBron James' wife? Why? You want to give her credit? Huh? I mean, they tried for years to try to put Michelle Obama on the same level as Barack Obama. It's not going to happen. He was the president, dynamic speaker. She just typical black woman from the South. I know, right? It's hard to say that. But she just another first lady, no matter how much y'all try to pump her up. The black man is the prize. Now, the dynamics of the relationships and the family structures within the black community are going to undergo significant cultural shifts also. Because you got high value, high status black men separating themselves from these traditional narratives around gender roles and family structures. They're going to evolve. Big Mama don't tell you what to do. You don't even go see your mama for holidays, much less give her, you don't even call her sometimes. How can she have any influence over you and you in Thailand somewhere? And so now you're seeing that black men are going, we're realigning our values. You understand? You have prominent black men that say, no, we're going to return to something a little bit more closer to the patriarchy. We're not going to let these women keep running us like this. And so now you have future generations, especially since you have women who come from cultures that are patriarchal or quasi-patriarchal. And so those men, those black men who are moving to the Dominican Republic and Colombia and Thailand and all these different places and who are bringing their wives to these countries, to the United States, they're like, yeah, I've learned something different now about how a man should conduct himself. And in fact, in the household, and in fact, your wife is going to expect you to do that, to be more of a man. So you see them returning to traditional roles. And a lot of you brothers, when you come home with your wives, you don't have anything to do with your black family. Tell the truth. Some of y'all embarrassed at how they act, your black family. I'm telling you the truth, I know. Shout out to my man Jaharid, Uncle D spitting facts, a lot of non-black women checking our brothers in the club. Yeah, because the black man is the prize. They're on here looking right now at us, listening to what we want, getting themselves together. It's hundreds of thousands of black women, hundreds of thousands of non-black women who listen to Kevin Samuels and have been influenced all over. They know just what the black man wants. They are custom making, they're remaking themselves to be just what you want, to get one of those high-value black men. But again, the black community is witnessing the realignment of values for the future generations, and they're adopting different perspectives on relationships, marriage, and family. And this is influencing how the gender roles are perceived and practiced within the community. And it's going to lead to the redefinition of what masculinity is and femininity as far as the black community, and expectations that's going to be placed on the gender. I think we're going more traditional with it. So the overall implications undoubtedly present significant challenges for the social status of black women, because you said you didn't need a man, and now you're getting your wish. Maybe you didn't say it, but for the past 60 years, these ladies have been saying it for you. And it's going to ignite some power, a powerful response. And faced with economic instability, diminished representation in politics, social fragmentation, black women are going to emerge and they're going to fight back. See? And we're going to see how resilient you are, ladies. Now, I'm going to take another quick break, and we're going to come back and we're going to specifically talk about the political effect of this war on the sexes, okay? And what we see happening right now. I need 6 more super chats. I'm going to be right back. Y'all hit the #1 button, man. Show Uncle D some love by subscribing to the channel. Make sure you do what you do. Like I said, I'll be right back.
I want to see you win. And I put pressure on us men to understand how we did not get our masculinity training. And we have been doing our work, okay? But now it's time for you ladies to understand you're going to have to bet on us like you want us to bet on you. I talked to several men this week. I don't just get on here and talk shit. I have men I call around the world and I ask, What do you think about this concept? Level set me. Shout out to brother Dennis Spurling. Dennis, I'm not gonna get. I don't want to tell people's business, but I'm gonna tell you, high value men retire their women or make them come work for them. So, ladies, what is it going to take for you to free yourself? Because you and I both know you're dying at these jobs. You're in a toxic.
All right, welcome back. So let's dig into this, man. Y'all still with me? Hit the number 1 button. So what's gonna happen now? All right, and we are about almost 2 hours in. If y'all want me to keep this going, y'all got to get me to 20 super chats, man. I need 6 more super chats. Make sure that happens. So what's the political effect of this war on the sexes? If black women were to lose and as they're losing their influence that they've historically held over black men in voting patterns because of this war on sexes, right? And you get a significant number of black men shifting their votes to Republicans or the couch. You got several far-reaching political consequences that will arise from this, from the political power and clout black women have within the Democratic Party. You're going to have a shifting voting dynamic, number one. And there's going to be a significant shift in voting patterns of black men that's going to lead to a noticeable decrease in the overall support for the Democratic Party from the black community. Traditionally, black women and men have been cohesive, voting bloc for the Democrat Party to the tune of 90% and above, particularly in urban areas. And if black men start voting Republican in larger numbers, the Democrat Party would no longer be able to rely on black voters as a unified base. And this shift could weaken the party's hold on key elections, particularly in areas where black men vote. Their vote was historically been the deciding factor. Now, black women have long been one of the most reliable voting groups of the Democratic Party. Shout out to my man Corey Joe to better. I need 5 more super chats. Black women, if you can't rely on them, if black women have been the reliable voting bloc for the Democrat Party, right? And they played a significant role in mobilizing the black vote. What happens, or should I say, if black men were to break away and vote Republican, black women's influence within the party is going to disappear overnight. And the Democrat Party and their officials are going to perceive black women as less powerful in terms of turning out the vote. And that's going to lead to a reduced emphasis on addressing black women's issues. And that's going to directly affect black women, scholarships, opportunities, business opportunities. And this party could choose to focus on other demographics that promise a unified voting bloc or align more closely with their strategic goals. So they're going to go to the Rainbow Coalition, the Latinos, the Asians, and whoever else. See, black men didn't really benefit from the Democrats anyway. Black women did. Now, if black women's voting power with the Democrat Party diminishes, the party's going to shift its policy focus away from initiatives that specifically address black women's needs and concerns. Because see, without that leverage of being a dominant voting bloc, black women are going to find it much harder to push for policies related to reproductive rights, economic equality, education, healthcare, social justice, issues that have traditionally been central to their political advocacy. And as the Democratic Party realigns its priorities to retain or attract other groups, black women are going to find their specific interests are sidelined. And that's what you see happening. Now, the fragmentation of the black vote, with black men and women no longer voting as a unified bloc, is going to create a significant challenge for the black political advocacy types. And you dividing voting patterns, that's going to weaken the collective bargaining power on issues affecting the entire black community. Here you are trying to petition the Democrats to do something for you, and they're like, nah, we don't even know if y'all gonna vote for us, you see? And so these advocacy efforts for like criminal justice reform, economic equality, voting rights, things like that, that really affects all people. But generally speaking, just using those as examples, when you advocate for that stuff, it becomes less effective, right? And the other thing is, as black women's political influence within the Democrat Party begins to wane, they're going to seek to build new alliances with other marginalized groups or political movements to maintain power. And this is going to lead to a redefinition of political strategies and the creation of coalitions within groups that share similar goals, such as women of color. In other words, they're going to say, well, we need to go hook up with these Latina women. But they don't realize them Latina women, and they're going to stay with you for a minute, but then they got to go home and make Poppy some tortillas. So they still going to stick with their men. The other thing is black women are going to try to align with the LGBTQ communities. Oh, you see, this is what you see doing right now. Everything I'm talking about, they're going to do, you see them doing it right now. And their hope is that by forming new alliances, black women can retain some of their influence in shaping political discourse, even if their individual voting bloc is no longer as dominant within the party. But that's not going to happen. If you share power with Latinos or LGBT groups or Asians, you don't have control over them like you had control over black men. So it's not going to be the same. Shout out to 414 Money. Don't say, Monk, they somewhere ordering a 30-piece catfish nugget plate. Boy, you are something else. Shout out to you, man. We need 4 more super chats. So it's not going to be the same. Remember, as I said earlier, the black man is the prize, and we always have been. Now, what's going to happen when they face this loss of influence? Black people, once given power, they don't want to lose it. They don't want to give it up. So they're going to fight like hell, and they're going to respond by mobilizing more vigorously for their political interests. Okay? Now, I'm going to just tell you something. If the lovely ladies would just come to us with their hat in hand and say, we sorry, come work with, but they can't do that. The egos are too big. They can't come back to us and say, we do need you, we love you. Not all of them, and not really mean it. You see? So so instead of instead of putting their head down and coming begging the black man to come back, and it might be too late. They try to beat us up. Remember, you see what they're trying to do. They're trying to use proxy violence to shame black men back to the Democrat plantation. And again, I don't care who you vote for. I want you to vote your interests. I'm just saying. Right? We used to be a guaranteed voting block for the Democrat Party, and now that's not happening anymore. And so what are they going to do? They're not going to come back begging new. They're going to try to start some grassroots organizations and movements focused specifically on the needs of black men, black women. Otherwise, we don't need y'all anyway. That's what they're going to say. We don't need y'all no way. They're going to start talking about gender equality and racial equality, right? Pushing policies to address intersectional challenges and healthcare disparities and economic opportunities. And you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Now, it might lead to a broader awakening in the black community, but it's still not going to go anywhere because they don't have the black man. They don't have those athletes. They don't have those entertainers. They don't have those black businessmen. They don't have those prominent black. They don't have those high-value black men that can call shots. Shout out to Damian Cross. You on fire tonight. Shout out to you, brother. Black man is the prize. And whether they like it or not, it is what it is. Now, what happens when these black women begin to realize and begin to feel their interests are no longer being adequately represented by the Democrat Party? They're going to start reevaluating their loyalty to it. Because, look, the Democrats are going to say, you lost the black man, we're going to turn our back on you, and we're going to try to court some other people from some other demographics. So, of course, the black women are going to say, well, I'm going to leave you too, right? And you're going to see an increase in black women and their political diversity. They're going to become Republicans, independents. And generally speaking, in the black community, you see it happening right now. A lot of black people are becoming more politically diverse. You got black women exploring alternative political parties or movements that promise to better address their concerns. And as this shift occurs, the Democrat Party is going to face challenges in maintaining its historical grip on black voters, while other parties are going to seek to appeal more directly to the needs of black women and black men in an effort to win support. Now, as black men, and shout out to Mecca D. Iber, thank you so much. We taking back our rightful place. Yes, we are. We need 2 more super chats. Give me some good ones too. Give me some good super chats. Now, here's the thing. What's the impact on future elections? As black men and women's political allegiances shift, the implications for future elections are going to be profound. You got candidates now political parties now and campaign strategies, they're going to need to evolve to reflect the changing dynamics within the Black community. The Black woman no longer has control over the Black man. So what does that mean? We got to actually get these Black men some stuff. Golly, we can't get 2 for 1 anymore. Somebody type 2 for 1 in the chat room. So both the Democrats and the Republican parties are going to need to adjust their policy platforms to outreach efforts to account for the evolving political preferences of Black men and Black women. And this shift could change the balance of power in local, state, and national elections, particularly in regions where Black voters have historically played a key role in determining the outcomes. Now, what sort of political and community and cultural shifts are going to arise if wealthy Black men begin to form families with non-Black women? I've told y'all before, the Black community is not going to go anywhere. It's still going to be here. Didn't I tell y'all that? It's a new Black community arising. They're not moving anywhere. They're going to live right next door to you. Mei Ling is going to be living right next door to Keisha. I'm just telling you, them brothers ain't going nowhere. They still going to be in Detroit. They're just going to have an Asian wife instead of a Black wife. They're still going to be living in Atlanta. They just going to have a Latina wife instead of a Black wife. How is this going to affect the Black community? Because see, remember now, the Black woman's influence comes from her control over Black men. So what, and if you got the richer they are, listen, what cultural shifts are going to arise from these successful, rich, high-value Black men, doctors, lawyers, engineers, plumbers, all that? What's going to happen when they start forming families with non-Black women? Well, if wealthy Black men were to, as they are, because I believe it's at this point 20%, 21% of Black men are married out, according to the newest statistics. It used to be like 13%. It's damn near double. So when you got wealthy Black men increasingly forming families with non-Black women, the resulting community and the cultural shifts are going to be, this is going to have profound implications for Black women and the broader Black community. And while this scenario could lead to feelings of marginalization or displacement by Black women, you know, what are they going to do about it? Now, as wealthy Black men form relationships outside the Black community, Black women are going to feel compelled to focus more on their own empowerment and collective advancement. You said you wanted to be alone. Now you got to do what you got to do because you're alone. So in response, you're going to see them, they're going to try to create or strengthen more grassroots organizations, more support, right? Centered on economic independence and advocacy, personal growth. You're going to see a lot of empowerment movements. I'm strong, independent, and I don't need a man. They're going to have to live by that. They're going to come together and form organizations, and they champion the rights of and promote leadership within the Black community, Black females specifically, right? And it's going to foster a sense of solidarity, but it's also going to further push Black men away. Instead of coming back to your man, right? Instead of competing for your men, you rather go through all of this. Instead of doing what every other woman does, this is what you rather do. Hard head, make a soft behind. I'm just saying. And of course, they're going to go to that old mainstay, going to increase focus on education and career advancement. That's what got you. Instead of being the women who compete, who have the equipment to compete for their men, fit, feminine, cooperative, you're going to try to get more education and get a better career. And see, in response to this shifting family dynamic and the social societal changes, Black women might, or they will, as they have, prioritized education and professional development, even more, seeking ways to secure their own financial independence and upward mobility. You got to prepare to be by yourself. So you're going to see them pursuing higher education because the societal landscape has shifted, and Black men are going to have to redouble their efforts to attain advanced degrees because the Black man is the prize. Did I say that yet? Shout out to Boondock Paint, Daddy Black Child. I need one more super chat. The Black man is the prize. And so Because they've lost their prize, they're going to have to focus on academic and professional excellence. You're going to work a lot. And it will enhance your prospects for career advancement and financial security. But damn, do you really want to work that hard, ladies? Do you really want to work as hard as a man? Because you didn't value your man. You didn't see your man as a prize. They're going to be in the neighborhood pushing black women, education, community org, all that, development. Go get a job. Take care of yourself. Instead of raising kids, you're going to be taking skill training and mentorship classes. Instead of learning to cook and clean, you're going to have programs to help you navigate through the evolving job market, telling you to cultivate these high demand skills. You're going to work hard. Somebody type working hard in the chat room. All because you didn't recognize your man as the prize. The more high status black men form families with non-black women, black women are going to have to channel their energy into expanding their representation in the media. Because see, they're always going to pay attention to the newest football player, basketball player, and his wife, you see, and those women, right? But you're going to have to fight for attention on the media. You're going to have to fight for it. So what I expect there to be is a lot of rise of black women run media. A lot of black women oriented TV shows and movies and whatever. You're going to see a surge in these publications and content specifically created by black women for black women. And they're going to highlight the unique challenges, success, and cultural contributions of black women. But nobody's going to care because you're not dribbling basketball. You're not scoring touchdowns. You're not singing songs. You're not dancing. They don't care. Because you've lost your prize. The thing, people pay attention to black men. They're not going to pay attention to you. No matter how many cultural celebrations and how much energy you invest in celebrating the heritage and accomplishments of black women in the community, and how many gatherings you have and cultural events to showcase black woman art and music and history and traditions, no matter how many spaces you create for solidarity, pride, and collective healing, no matter how much you think this is going to serve for vital platforms of networking, empowerment, and sharing resources, they don't care because the black man is the prize. And if he's not there, they don't care about you. You are just another one of the spoils of war. Now, what's going to happen when the family structures evolve and black women are you out there working and Tyrone got him a Maria? The black community is still going to exist. It's still going to be there, but you're going to have to create alternative family model, female-run households. Because you're going to have the absence of traditional nuclear families, which we have right now. Black women are going to have to form strong, non-traditional family structures based on I need your help and you need mine. So we moving in with grandma, auntie, and whoever else. Ain't no man in the house. I need one more super chat. These networks are going to consist of closely knit circles of black women who support each other financially, emotionally, and socially because there ain't no man in the house. He's going to be across the street with Maylene and Becky and Katie and Linda and Maria and Guadalupe. While you on the other side of the street embracing alternative family models. You're going to have to recreate definitions of kinship that's going to transcend biological ties and focus on shared goals and values. Y'all seen Brewster's Place with all them women, and that's what you're looking at. Somebody type Brewster's Place in the chat room. Y'all remember that movie, all them black women living together, raising kids? That's what you're going to have a bunch of that going on. Yeah. That's what you see happening. See, and shout out to my man Corey Joe, SB Sticker. We at 2 hours. Y'all like this? Are y'all enjoying this? Huh? Are you guys enjoying this? Is this good stuff? Are you learning something? Somebody type learn you in the chat room. If you're learning something, if you like this, somebody type I'm learning something in the chat room. Come on now. Talk to me. Talk to me. If you learn something, I keep going. We 2 hours in. I got some more I'd like to say about this, but if you learn it, I don't want to bore you. I don't want to hold you back from what you need to be doing. I need to know if you're learning. If you're learning some type I'm learning in the chat room. If you're learning some type I'm learning in the chat room, I need to know. I got some more things I want to say about this subject because I feel like it's necessary. I just need to know that y'all appreciate it. Okay? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I need to see. I'm learning. Let's do it. I don't want to bore you. You know, at 2, I'm through. It's 2 hours. I want to keep going though. Because I want to talk about the outcome. What's the eventual outcome of this situation? All right. I see y'all. I'm learning. I see y'all. Keep it going. I'm learning. Do it for the algorithm. You see me rocking in my chair now. I'm getting good. Yeah. Somebody type yeah in the chat room, baby. See, family, in this country where Black people comprise 14% of the population, we've long faced the burdens of prejudice and segregation and systematic racism. And for generations, the Black community lived in relative isolation, struggling to be accepted and fighting against the oppressive systems designed to suppress our cultural identity and limit our opportunities. However, in recent decades, a series of societal reforms and changing attitudes have opened doors for more societal, economic, and personal freedoms. As a result, Black folks in general have begun to interact more freely with people from other ethnic groups in various spheres of life, including relationships, living conditions, and employment. Shout out to my man, A. Pringle, can with the veins, went to Columbia, met brothers doing great with wild. Yeah, and the sisterhood is in trouble. I'm looking for a house. I know, baby. I'm trying. I'm telling y'all. I'm giving you the play-by-play ahead of time. I'm telling you what's happening. You think if I can sit here as an old lawyer from Texas at my chair, you think if I can't figure this out, all those think tanks in Washington, D.C. and around America aren't figuring this out? You don't think they realize what's happening? That's why you see Black women losing clout with the Republican, with the Democrat Party right now. I'm trying to tell y'all, baby. Trying to tell y'all now. But let's get back to what I was saying. Okay. So I basically, you see Black people interacting with people in different spheres of life. Well, before we were cordoned off, we were segregated. And so as Black people, but now as Black people explore their newfound freedoms, a significant trend has begun to emerge, particularly among wealthier, more prominent Black men. Black men have choices. A man is only limited by his choices. Black men have choices. Many of these influential men who hold considerable economic power and social status, they start pursuing relationships with women from different ethnic groups and backgrounds because that's in their choice. That's their choices. That's their options. The man is only limited by his options. That's what I meant to say. And people are not so much based on color, but class level. You understand me? It's not so much about color, it's about class level. I know you don't like to hear that. I tell brothers all the time, my preference is for you to marry women of African descent. She can be foundational Black American. She can be African, Afro-Caribbean, Afro-Latina. I want to see you marry a Black woman. But at the end of the day, it's more important for me to see you happy. So if you find a woman who's fit, feminine, and cooperative, and you don't marry her just because she's the wrong color, damn, man, you might be messing up. Nevertheless, as far as these brothers who have money and prestige, A lot of these brothers see these women as more socially accepted or fitting societal beauty norms. And it makes them more attractive to black men who are navigating a broader societal, men navigating broader societal expectations. That's hard to hear, but it's true. Shout out to my man Pringle again. 10 days and didn't have to deal with the she-heathen. He's something else. Boy, y'all something else. And so this shift in dating and marriage, this shift in dating and marriage patterns, it marks a departure from the historical norms within the black community where family structures were often centered around the leadership of the black woman. You see? And for generations, black women held considerable influence within the families and the communities, guiding cultural traditions and shaping important decisions. However, as more black men begin to exercise their freedom and form relationships outside of the community, the balance of power and influence within the black community has started to shift. Black women, okay, who once played key roles in shaping family and societal dynamics, now find themselves increasingly marginalized as black men look beyond their community for companionship. They've lost their prize. So in response, as this trend becomes more noticeable, tensions are beginning to rise. And it's intense, isn't it? Right? Many black women are beginning to express their frustration, feeling abandoned by black men. They perceive this shift as a rejection of not only them personally, but also of the shared cultural heritage they have long upheld. They basically said you got self-hate because you want to get away from the hate that you experience in the black community. They say you have self-hate because you want to get away the negative disrespect that you dealt with in the black community. To me, I disagree. I think it's an expression of self-love to want peace of mind and happiness. Nevertheless, this growing preference among black men for non-black women, again, with 21% marrying out, and I'm sure dating out is higher than that. But this preference black men are demonstrating for non-black women is seen by black women as a threat to the community and to black culture and the identity. And it undermines the family structures and traditions that have historically been matriarchal and have been the source and the strength and resilience of the black community. But black men say, nah, we didn't like that. It was a bad deal. And so in response to these perceived marginalizations, black women are reacting by vocalizing their discontent. They feel that their voices are being ignored and they're expressing feelings of anger and betrayal. Black women who've long been expected to play their role in the black community now don't have a role to play. You had to be the pillar of strength in the black community, but you benefited from that control and that influence you had. And now you're being replaced because the black men didn't benefit from you being in control. And if you look at the current state of the black community, it's not in a good place. Somebody type not good in the chat room. Shout out to Kevin Lott. Now, you also see black women manifesting a certain resistance to this growing trend. And some black women are starting to attempt to assert their value and reclaim their position of influence within the community. And they're willing to do it by force. Right? Now, how are they doing that? See, the outcomes of this shift have a significant cultural and societal, or should I say it has a significant cultural and societal implications for the black community as a whole. On one hand, black men's decision to explore relationships outside of our ethnic group reflect their growing or outgrowing integration into the broader society and the breaking down of racial barriers in personal and social spaces. On the other hand, the marginalization of black women in this particular dynamic, it threatens to fragment the solidarity that has long been a hallmark of the black community. She don't have anybody to rule over anymore. If she can't control you, if she can't influence you, she's sitting on a pile of dung. Your little boys grow up and marry a white gal. Your little boys grow up and marry a Maria. Your little boys grow up and marry a black woman from the Caribbean. Your little boy grows up and leaves, and the rest of the black men are gone and done with you. So now what's happening is black women are now being forced to redefine their own sense of identity and the power in the absence of these traditional structures where they played the central role, where they were the matriarchal leader. While simultaneously, black men are finding themselves navigating the complexities of racial relationships and cross-cultural lines. You got to balance your personal choices within the responsibilities you may still feel towards your community and their community. And again, you're going to see black women forming new forms of activism and empowerment because they feel sidelined. Somebody type sideline in the chat room. Black women are beginning to feel sidelined. And so that look at the internet, look at the YouTube, look at all these black women vocalizing and speaking up. The ones you like and the ones you don't like. Where do you think this is coming from? Do you think they would be speaking if they were happy? They're talking because they're angry. There's people listening to black women telling other black women what's wrong and what's the problem because they find that there's something wrong. What I'm just saying, listen. Happy people just go about their life. They don't say anything to anybody. They quiet. Sad people talking. And people that need are listening. That's why you have all of this rise or this emergence on black female-centered videos and YouTube channels and movies that talk about their experiences and their perspectives. They're trying to foster resilience in the face of this changing societal dynamic. And these tensions are going to persist. Black women are going to have to redefine their place in this evolving landscape of relationships, cultural identity in this country. They've got to deal with this response or this perceived response of loss of control over black men. They got to figure out, how do we get this power back? They want to reclaim their status and authority within the community. And these reactions are going to be varied. And it's stemming from a shared sense of marginalization as more and more high value, high status black men pursue relationships outside the community. Now, what we see happening is them trying to compete. You see them trying to compete by dating and marrying outside the community? Somebody type divester in the chat room. All that is an effort to match black men's growing trend of dating outside the race. Some black women are trying to attempt to do the same thing they see black men doing, seeking relationships with men from other ethnical and racial groups. Here's the problem. This endeavor proves challenging for black women because other groups of men don't always find black women attractive. Just keep it 100. Due in part to the prevailing stereotypes and societal perceptions. And these perceptions, which paint black women as being less cooperative, less feminine, or lacking in traits traditionally associated with submission and family-oriented values, it creates barriers to dating outside of our own community. Black men will deal with you. These other folks, these other people from other races, they won't. We've been built to deal. We got a master's degree in dealing with black women by the time we're 10 years old. Because we have black mothers, black sisters, black aunties, and black grandmas. And as a result, and so you know I'm telling you the truth, the success rate of black women marrying outside the race remains low. Especially when you talk about white folk. What is it? 1% of white men marry black women? Now look at the fact that 21% of black men are married outside the race, outside the community. That's not even talking about the black men who are married to black women who are of non-foundational black American heritage. That's not even something that's counted. And here's the thing. We talking about marriage. That takes a lot. How many men are actively dating and engaging in interracial relationships that aren't married, but are still locked up in relationships with women of other ethnicities. Nevertheless, what you see is an imbalance, and it exacerbates the feelings of alienation that Black women are having, and it's intensifying the perception that they're losing ground in both personal and communal spheres. You don't have any influence over these men anymore because they have a woman of another ethnicity, and her culture permeates that household. Her culture it permeates those children and how they operate. That man is subject to, he not eating hog maws and fatback no more. He not eating that anymore. He's eating empanadas and mango. He not sitting around listening to your family talk about the barbecue, the cookout. He trying to figure out when the bar mitzvah is gonna happen. He's trying to figure out when they're gonna have a quinceañera. And his children are gonna be the same. That other woman has the Black children. She's raising the next generation of Black children. So where is that gonna leave you? And Black women notice that. So you see a lot of Black women turning to grassroots organizations, trying to rebuild their influence within the Black community by advocating a return to traditional values and roles, which means, hey, Black man, come on back. Community meetings and forums and online forums and stuff like that. You even have Black women trying to advocate traditional values. Somebody type, what is it called? Chameleon in the chat room. They're out here trying to highlight the unique strengths of Black women, their resilience, their leadership, their cultural knowledge, as qualities that should be cherished and valued by Black men. But you can't tell Black men what to value. They know what they want. But a lot of this, despite these efforts, and you brothers can you vouch for what I'm saying, these efforts and this approach fails to resonate with a significant portion of Black men. I'm telling you the truth. They're not listening. And many men express a desire for women who align with their current values. And that's why they're seeking women who are viewed as fit, feminine, cooperative, and adaptable to a rapidly changing societal landscape. You're not trying to argue with Keisha anymore. Love is not worth it. Love is just another four-letter word. Nevertheless, you have tensions that exist between the two perspectives: Black women's call for tradition and bringing the Black family back together and the simps that go along with them, and Black men's pursuit of women who reflect modern ideals, right? That's creating a disconnect that further divides the community. But remember, ladies, I want you to hear me. You said you were strong, independent, and don't need a man. Don't call us back now, especially if you're not coming with something tangible. You're not coming with fitness, femininity, and cooperativeness. You coming with the same old, you better do what I say. Now, here's the thing. As Black men increasingly date and marry outside of the community, the societal landscapes begins to shift. Interracial relationships become more normalized and widely accepted within the broader society, and that's going to lead to a redefinition of the family structure and the cultural identity. Black women feeling alienated by this shift, and they find themselves grappling with this new social reality, and their historical authority within the Black community, once centered around family and cultural preservation, is beginning to erode as they struggle to find their place in this new world. Y'all said y'all wanted me to keep talking. I'm 18 minutes in. I'm gonna need some more super chats because I'm dropping this knowledge on you. I'm giving it to you good. I don't even think I said any cuss words, baby. I'm feeling myself. You understand? I need 2 more super chats. Now, let's get back to it. As this critical juncture, because this is where we are, our lovely ladies face a difficult choice. Either they adapt to the changing dynamics, or they risk further marginalization. Somebody type compete. Somebody type compete. Somebody type compete in the chat room. Some of you women, some of these black women are going to embrace the change, and they're going to choose to engage within the evolving social landscape rather than resist it. They're going to compete. They're going to seek to understand the perspective of these non-black women who are now forming relationships with these highfalutin rich black men. And by doing so, they'll begin to forge new alliances and create spaces for dialogue and collaboration between different cultural groups. And so they're going to learn. Somebody type compete. Shout out to TIQS. Keep cooking, Uncle D. Hot Texas grease. Yeah, they're going to compete. Some women like, I ain't going to get left behind. Hell with the matriarchy. Hell with these gynocrats. I'm going to get me one of them men. I'm going to see what Becky is doing. I'm going to see what Maria is doing. I'm going to see what Mei Ling is doing. They're going to compete. They don't want to be left out. So you're going to have this openness to change. It's going to blend some identities where you have black women who learn to navigate this new world that includes both black cultural traditions and influences from other ethnic groups. They got to. She's going to have to be fit, feminine, cooperative, like Mei Ling and Maria and Katie. You understand? And they're going to have to learn that they're going to have to live. They didn't get it at home from their mothers. They're going to have to learn it somewhere. And if they're wise, they'll embrace this and have a cultural exchange. And they'll slowly, some of them, not all of them, because the vast majority of them are going to die alone. Somebody type die alone in the chat room. Somebody type die alone in the chat. They're too hard-headed, too ego-driven. But some will slowly regain their influence. Not only within the community, but within the broader society. And their adaptability allows them to reclaim the respect and recognition of leaders, advocates, and cultural bearers. Some of them will recognize that the black man is the prize. They're going to tuck their ego and they're going to find him a man. Some of them will, not all of them, some. Somebody type some in the chat room. Some women are smart enough to recognize which side of the bread their butter is on. You understand? Not all, but some. Some of them don't have egos. Some of them are not going to mess this up. Some of them don't want to fumble. But all because they recognize in time that the black men are and always will be the prize. Your man is always going to be the prize. I need one more super chat. Now, one more super chat. Y'all got me talking past my curfew. It's dinner time for Uncle D. I'm sitting here talking to y'all. Did you learn something? Huh? Did you learn something? I need one more super chat. Shout out to A. Pringle. He said the Blizzard King. Yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Now, let me say this. If you ever want to do a consultation with me, all you got to do is hit me up. It's spurlingdennis@gmail.com. I'm a Hall of Fame attorney. I'm going to charge you for my time. You want to talk to me personally. It's 100,000 other lawyers here. So you got to pay me. But instead of charging my normal fee, I've reduced it. And so I'll talk to you. You can email me at spurlingdennis@gmail.com. In addition to that, you can buy my books at spurlingdennis@gmail.com. They sold out. I went to that Black Manosphere conference. They sold out in like 15 minutes. I had to cut my son in. He wanted to be paid for his time. Shout out to the Crimson Sun. All right. If you want to get some merchandise, DennisSpurlingMerch.com. I appreciate if y'all go over there and bought some t-shirts. Simple t-shirt. I got one t-shirt for sale. It says it's greater later. That'll remind you of me. Anybody who sees you walking around with that t-shirt on that says it's greater later right across the top, they're going to say, the Blizzard King. It's unspoken. It's a good affirmation. It'll keep you in line. It's greater later. Go over there and buy my t-shirt. I'd appreciate that. All right. DennisSpurlingMerch.com. Go get you one. All right. Go get you one. Again, if you'd like to do a consultation, if you'd like to buy a book, email me at spurlingdennis@gmail.com. Now, shout out to everybody who came through with the super chat. Here we go. Here we go. I've said this and I'm going to say it again. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Black men undeniably hold an incredibly valuable position within the social, financial, and political fabric of both the Black community and the broader society. Somebody type, I am the prize. Their contributions, our contributions, brother, throughout history in fields as diverse as athletics, politics, science, and entertainment have been nothing short of transformative. Black men's economic power is vital, particularly in entertainment and sports, but also in blue collar and white collar professions. Politically, we represent half of the Black electorate, a critical voting bloc for democratic cities and policies. This combination of economic and political influence makes Black men the cornerstone of many societal advancements, underscoring our status as the prize in the Black community. Woo! Ha ha! Not a prize, the prize in the Black community. Historically, dynamics between Black men and Black women have been shaped by external forces. During the era of slavery, Black women were often placed in positions of control over Black men, a practice that has evolved into modern times where control manifests in more subtle ways. Proxy violence, for example, is one method through which Black women have exerted influence, leveraging outside forces such as law enforcement to maintain control in personal relationships. However, as Black men gain financial independence and political clout, we become less controllable, shifting the balance of power. And this shift threatens the traditional structures where Black women have held sway, particularly in realms of social and standing and political influence. As Black men increasingly assert our independence, particularly by exploring relationships outside of the Black community, the consequences are felt deeply. This separation has the potential and has begun to destabilize Black communities economically, as prominent Black men often provide critical resources and support. Furthermore, a political shift, such as more Black men aligning with the Republican Party, could disrupt the Democratic strongholds like Chicago, Detroit, Atlanta, and all the rest, places where Black women have traditionally been the dominant voting bloc. And such changes would diminish Black women's influence both politically and socially, making it imperative for the community to rethink its gender dynamics. The evolving relationship preferences of Black men, who are increasingly dating and marrying women from other ethnic groups, further complicates the landscape. These changes, shout out to Don C., these changes have led to cultural shifts where Black women feel marginalized or left behind, and they're struggling to adapt to the new realities. The fragmentation of relationships within the community is creating tensions as Black women face the difficult choice of either adapting and competing to these new dynamics or trying to hold on to those traditional values and control mechanisms. Ultimately, Black men's growing independence and influence make us a key driving force in shaping the future of the Black community. And our ability to navigate financial, social, and political spaces with increasing autonomy demonstrates our essential role, not only in the success of our own lives, but in the trajectory of the entire community and the nation. So, as the dynamics between Black men and Black women continue to evolve, it is clear that Black men are truly the prize. Somebody type the prize in the chat room. Let me say that again. Black men are truly the prize, embodying strength, resilience, and potential necessary to lead the Black community into a new era of progress and transformation. As I said earlier, Black men are always will be, always were, and always will be the prize. Nevertheless, I appreciate all y'all for coming through. I hope you've learned something. I look forward to reading the comments. And as I always say at this time, before I get in the wind, this is Uncle D, and I'm out.
In the Spurling podcast, hit the like button, subscribe.